Alright, we have the HPI Savage XS Flux on the workbench today. When I was driving it earlier, at the end, it started making a crunchy noise from the drivetrain. I was originally thinking diffs, but at home, looking at it a little more, the diffs seem to be spinning pretty smoothly. But when you spin the whole drivetrain as a whole, you hear that crunch. I think I might have lost a tooth on the pinion or the spur. Alright, let's tear it apart, see what we could find. Alright, got the motor and transmission out. I gotta say, this is one of the hardest vehicles to work on I've ever had. You gotta tear so much apart to get anything out. That's nuts. I don't know, really. I guess there's a lot to pack in a small package, but still. Alright, so with the motor and trans out, I can feel that crunchiness is definitely inside the transmission somewhere. Alright, let's open her up and see what we can find. Alright, so found the problem. Missing a few teeth out of the spur gear there. Quite a few, actually. Surprised it actually moved at all still. A little idler gear looks fine. The pinion looked okay. Looks like there's some chunks of metal there caught in the grease. Alright. Have to order a new spur gear. Alright, got the Savage XS Flux. Got it all fixed from its stripped spur gear. I have to say, this truck sucks to work on. Parts weren't too bad for this. It was a $5 part. Of course, it was back order from HPI or A-Main or any major retailer. There are a couple small independent hobby shops online that had it, but they all wanted like $25, $30 shipping. I did find one for $12 on Amazon, but it didn't have outrageous shipping. Took about a week to get. On its first little test drive, I didn't film. I lost the screw pin that holds on the rear drive shaft. Kind of have bad luck with this truck so far. Gonna test it out here a little more at the skate park. This truck does have a reputation for being a little tank, so hopefully it holds up pretty well for me. Let's have some fun. This thing's not doing very well. These tires really suck. They're very unbalanced. Now they're a little wet. It just has zero traction. Trying to get speed and rotation off the ramp and it just spins. Being real careful not to land on power, since those gears, even though they're metal, seem to be pretty weak material. Oh, thought the steering broke. Looks like the link just popped off. People leaving their garbage here. Hopefully the battery just came unplugged. Yep. Trying to clear this little tabletop. That was a bad landing. Yeah, and it broke something for sure. Hard to blame the truck for everything. That was a lot of bad driving, but yeah, so that was a rear diff that blew up. Oh, the other three are spinning. Left rear goes a little bit and then locks up in each direction. Oh wait, no, it's just the axle popped out. Okay, hold on. Alright, so it looks like we're done today with the HPI Savage XS Flux. It was fairly tough for me out here at the skate park. I did have one steering link pop off and then I got that rear dog bone that popped out, but tougher than it was on my speed passes. Parts weren't too bad, but you definitely are going to be waiting a week or two online. Not a lot of stock at local hobby shops. Even the main retailers online seem to be out of stock a lot of times with HPI parts. I'm not a big fan of the steering. Seems to dart around a lot when you try and accelerate. It wanders a bit. It does handle pretty well for a monster truck. It doesn't traction roll too often, but those tires don't get very much traction. They have a lot of vibration. They're very unbalanced. I picked this up for $300. I think it is a little steep for what you're getting. I would definitely go with like a Relarlo Omni Terminator over this. This is definitely faster, but for mini bashers, you really aren't looking for 60-mile-an-hour top speeds. Even though my little Relarlo also got about 60 miles an hour. So overall, this was a pretty fun truck. but it does have some disadvantages. I think for the price point, there's better trucks out there. All right, thanks for watching.